The following podcast is for 18 and up audiences only.
Alright. Now we're here for real.
Cool.
For real?
Okay.
Yeah, like for real, like the toys.
For real?
For real friends. You ever see the commercials?
I don't know what you're talking
Yes, I
about.
have, actually. They were everywhere, and it was so annoying.
See,
Were they like action figures?
No, they were little pets.
nothing sticks to my memory
Oh.
like colorful consumerism.
I think I remember them too.
For real.
And yeah, it's just fur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I never
They were
heard
like
of those.
furries.
Welcome to the Loincloth Hour.
I'm Sid.
I'm Huron.
I'm Croup.
Welcome to the Loincloth Hour.
This is our first time trying our new intro, and I think that went well, actually.
Like, I could just loop that for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
What is the Loincloth Hour, you asked? It's a podcast where 3 dudes talk about cartoons and how gay they are. And
We
what
talk about
like
gay things
them.
here.
Yeah, the gay things.
Yeah.
So, before we begin this episode, guys, I have a question for both of you.
Yes.
Would you say you're a person with strong personal integrity?
No. I'm not.
So Halcyon Renard would just kill you, is what you're saying. If you were trapped in like a sex dungeon that Halcyon Renard had,
Listen. I mean, I.
he would just end your life.
So I would be like Goliath and just be like, yeah, I did that shit.
Yeah, what of it?
Like, that's pretty much how I'd be.
Okay, how about you, Huron?
I mean, I feel like I'm someone with strong personal integrity, so I'd be fine.
That's okay. So you would survive the Saw death trap.
Like,
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
It was. I feel like it could have become that if robots hadn't interrupted them.
There was, like, nothing, like, perilous other than the gratuitous sexualization of male form.
just bondage.
Like, it wasn't, like, there was nothing in that. I don't know. I guess, like, the show is really desensitized what I register as, like, danger for the main protagonist. Like, I can't tell. Are you trying to, like, this isn't deadly. This is just sexual in nature.
Yeah, like, the worst that happened to him was he was electrocuted a few times. But we've seen so many people get electrocuted on the show that it almost, doesn't
But
matter
the thing
now.
is, Goliath liked it.
He probably, and somewhere, like, Brooklyn got a boner, probably, somewhere.
Like, I know there was nothing, like, Goliath, like, was so whatever about the electrocutions every time it happened.
Yeah, he just gets back up. He's like, okay.
Okay, so let's get, where were we again?
Okay, so today we're covering the episode of Gargoyles Outfoxed. Because we haven't mentioned that yet.
It's in the title.
Did you know that
They
was not
clicked it.
the episode's original name?
No, I didn't. What is the original name of the episode?
After the Fox.
After the Fox.
Is it like a reference?
What is that? Is
or
this
something?
like...
I don't know, but I will tell you about how it came about later in this podcast.
It sounds like After the Fall.
Maybe.
After
You know.
what was before? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we'll get to what that's about at the end of
It's
this
weird.
podcast.
Okay.
So something to look forward
Outfoxed is
to.
better.
Yeah, I think Outfoxed, because Outfoxed is like an
absolutely.
actual thing that people say.
Like,
So-
after the Fox, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, that
Like,
would
if I heard that in a
confuse people.
sentence, I would be like, what the hell?
You see, after the fox.
Oh
like,
my god. What is it, like some kind of code?
It's all code.
Okay.
Your code.
So, should I just get us started then, or?
Well, before we begin, I do have one thing that I, Manicorn, have been doing a little Gargoyles writing project this month, the month of November. I'm hosting a Spanksgiving event. So what I've been doing for it is I've been writing a whole story every single day with a new Gargoyle cast member, and they've all spanking kink based. So if that interests you in any way, you can just search hashtag Spanksgiving 2023 You'll see my work, as well as a whole bunch of other artists and writers. Hiron was also participating.
I will
He
finish posting by the end of the year.
Finish someday. Real life got in the way of his progress, but he has a bunch of stories up as well. They're all really good.
I have a whole bunch more written too, just not the next day. I have to go back and finish the one story that caught me all hooked up.
But if specifically Gargoyle is what you're looking for, I've got 30 up, or we'll probably have 30 up by the time this podcast goes live, so you can check those out.
There you go. Our friend Aqua was also involved in that.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of really good art.
He has
a few times he's done pictures that like accidentally were like the same premise as stories that I was doing. And I was like, this is funny that at least one time it happened.
I remember seeing one of them, but I think there might have been another.
Because my first story was about Fang. Was about Talon and Fang, and then Aqua did a drawing of Fang getting spanked for that day, and I was like, this is
literally the same day.
Okay,
they're real good. There's at least one wolf one. Actually,
I know.
Wolf is going to be in another one later on too.
Oh my god!
So, like, prepare your loins for that, for the Loincloth, the Loin Awakening. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that shit out.
But yeah, I think we can just get started now. That's all I had to say.
Alright, sounds good. Okay, so previously on Gargoyles, because I know how much we love the previously on segments, I tried to get as much detail on the previously on segment as possible.
The one day I didn't take notes for previously
Here's
on.
the thing
I was
about
like,
this
Sid always
previously
hates when we
on.
talk about previously, so I'm just not going to do it anymore.
So this is
He
one of my
gave it to
favorite
me.
previously ons in the entire show.
Huh?
This is one of my favorite previously ons in the entire
Okay,
show.
it is. I do enjoy this one. Yeah.
Okay, so previously on Gargoyles, so there's quite a few paragraphs here.
Oh my god.
Fox and Xanatos got married and kissed and kicked people's asses and whatnot. Those horny freaks. Fox and Xanatos, we see them having dinner, we see them kissing, and we see them kicking people's asses in the Vows episode, blowing stuff up, showing that they are very questionably moral people and they're together. So yeah, that's really the period at the end of the sentence. We get the line of Xanatos saying, I think we're capable of loving each other as much as two people such as ourselves are capable of doing that.
So romantic.
Yes, it plays a clip, while he says that, it plays a clip where he's like backing up from Werewolf Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize
Yes!
that. That's so good.
It was so good.
And then there's a clip of Fox manhandling the one girl from the studio where she gets arrested. I don't know. I just these are all the details that we're being presented with. We also get some of the pack clips in the flashbacks. We do see Dingo and Wolf for a second.
For like a millisecond.
Not even, like a full second. And they're like following orders from Fox, like the gay cheerleaders they are. And then, so this whole previously on segment is huge shit fuel for all the hardcore Fox and Xanatos fans. I mean,
It's like their greatest hits on parade.
Okay. So the reason I like this flashback though is, first of all, the choice of dialogue. We all love that line.
yes.
But they overlaid it over a bunch of unrelated scenes instead of how they usually do previously ons, where they just we're hearing all the dialogue as it happened.
Not necessarily unrelated, because it was still Fox and Xanatos, but it was just random clips of them.
But it wasn't exactly random, because they were ordered in such a way that it would tell the viewer what had happened over the course of the show with their relationship, from everything from working and the prison and married and all of that. But it's all like put in out of order, but it's done in such a way that it's really easily digestible, where someone could look at it and actually know what's going on. There was a lot of thought put into it. Unlike a later previously on segment we will be talking about.
Oh boy.
I can't wait. Can't wait for whatever shitty ass episode.
No, that's this
gonna be.
episode. You'll see. You know what I'm talking about. Actually, I have a whole story on that one when we get to it.
Oh yes, so much.
That's
Okay.
fascinating. I think that's okay. I might have built up my notes because I thought more of these paragraphs were about the previously on, but unfortunately they're not.
That's okay.
We open up on a news story. It's from the perspective of someone watching the news.
Yeah, who is she?
So the premise of this news story, remember that ship that they went and destroyed in like the 5-part Awakening segment of this show? Well, and by they I mean Demona and Goliath.
Yes.
Well, there's apparently a second variant of that ship that's been made, and the news reporter is like, yeah, y'all might remember this as the ship that got destroyed in season 1. I wonder if this one will turn out any better. And
line for line.
I just put a note here that just says this is funny.
Do you know who this news reporter is? Sid?
Marshall.
Travis
Marshall.
Our best friend of the podcast, Travis Marshall.
Yes, indeed. Travis Marshall.
I actually have notes about Greg Wiseman discussing how he spent some time on Travis Marshall's dialogue in this to make sure that he was not just a generic news character, but someone who actually had a personality.
Yeah.
I'm glad that is a thing.
I don't know if it worked.
I don't know either.
Like, what is Travis Marshall's personality?
He talks about
I mean,
relevant events.
he
in the
actually
Gargoyles
put
canon.
pressure on Vogel, which is more than most TV
Yeah,
reporters and
he had a
cartoons.
few hard-hitting questions for him.
Yeah.
Travis Marshall.
Travis starts by saying that the reclusive billionaire Halcyon Renard is not available for interview, but his spokesperson is here.
Yes.
Preston Vogel.
Yes. He just sent his lackey boy to do the interview for him.
Can we talk about Preston Vogel?
How he's literally just Owen, and no one acknowledges it this entire episode.
Yes. He's just Owen with black hair and a bow tie. And, like, somehow he's even dorkier than, like, normal Owen is.
Yeah. And, like, it was so much that apparently the team got a bunch of hate mail after this episode aired about the fact that they just...
They just reuse his character model?
He's just like, well, I did it for a reason.
But it won't be revealed for, like,
I
20
guess I guess it just like annoyed people because like it was so easy to like confuse him. Like, like there's a point in the episode where you kind of almost expect him to just take off a wig and it's Owen.
It was me the whole time. But yeah, like reusing character models, that's something you'd expect like a lesser show to do.
Yeah, not Gargoyles,
yeah.
but this serves a purpose here. Just brunette or black-haired Owen, Preston Vogel, he's explaining, so that last crash happened because of corporate espionage, because of the previous crew's human error, which is funny because it's like, you don't sound very human saying that. It's so off-putting coming out of someone's mouth.
Yeah, like, Preston is sort of robotic himself, which is probably one of the reasons that Halcyon actually does trust him. Because he doesn't trust people, but he at least sort of trusts Preston.
So, that's something, that's a lot like that other character, who also really trusts that other character.
Xanatos and Owen?
Yes.
Yes. Because Halcyon is sort of like a reflection almost of Xanatos in some ways.
To summarize, Preston explains we took all the humans out of that ship and replaced them with Cybots. So
Patented Cybots.
TM Cybots.
He had to point out that they've been patented, so you
Oh
can't
my
try and
God.
steal them.
Oh my gosh. I missed that
It's like he's
part.
talking directly to Xanatos. Like, don't try to fucking steal these robots. Like, you've stolen everything else in my life!
Okay, so I just think it's funny, like, so the way that Preston and Renard, like, talk about people and past employees as, like, pieces of shit, like, didn't they all fucking die on the other ship?
I think they
Okay.
escaped that ship. We saw people
Like,
jumping
what did
out.
they do wrong, though?
Okay,
Because
but they weren't necessarily... Okay, so that's not anywhere near all of his employees. This guy's an 80-year-old man who's been in business for 60 of those years.
I believe it.
He didn't say anything specifically about the crew of the ship. He said...
Yeah, but why
Well,
did
he did say that it was due to human
Yeah,
error.
like
that
it
the
was
ship
due to human
crashed.
error, so we replaced them all with robots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
I think Halcyon's just used to blaming other people for for things like because he's been betrayed so many times. It
Yeah.
feels like so he's just very defensive, and he's quick to judge others. Or
So he replaced every one of his workers with robots.
yes,
Well,
Yes,
especially
he did.
because, as we will learn later in this episode, most likely the reason why Xanatos knew where those discs were to steal them is because Anton Savarius leaked the information to him.
yeah, either him or Owen, one of them.
No, it makes sense because this way, yeah, like I see where he's coming from. I just think it's like funny to me, like just the complete disassociation from like, yeah. So human errors out, robots in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how far would you have to be driven to replace everyone in your life with a robot? Like,
Except for your boy toy.
yeah, except for your boy toy.
Yeah, like your little
I'm
bow
so glad I'm
tie,
the only one who
penguin
realized
looking
that during
boy
this
toy.
episode.
I mean, what was there to realize? He's literally another Owen.
After he's done explaining that, he's also saying like the only humans on this ship are the CEO and me, and it feels like he could just like look directly at the camera and say that stuff because it's clear that he's trying to get this information out for a reason. Because why else would he say that?
This will all be plot relevant, viewers. Are you paying attention?
Yeah, they're the only two human beings. They're the these two dudes are all alone on this ship with nothing around them but cyborgs.
Yeah, which
I'm
which
just
turns
saying.
both of them on.
Yeah.
This is like their honeymoon.
I'm like
Robots armed with
you
sex
ever-
toys.
there. You ever watch that? I'm not gonna bring it up. It's just like
A little late for that.
It must be good, whatever it is.
okay. So there's this like really funny video of I think it was on like Tosh.0 or some shit. I don't remember. It was on Comedy Central. Where like this guy's like interviewing like a marine like field scientist or whatever who spent like days like underwater like exploring the octopus, and he was like, you were out there for weeks on end with nothing around you but an octopus. Did you fuck an octopus? And the guy was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm not kidding, man. Did you do anything with the octopus? He's like, no. He's like, not even a little bit.
So weird. I guess is it a parody interview or is it a real interview?
It's a parody.
Okay.
Oh,
It was
okay.
on Comedy Central.
We're acting repulsed by this. We're like, oh wait, it's supposed to be funny. Okay. That
Anyways,
explains.
that's what I think of, like them alone with all those robots.
This is Travis Marshall being like, did you fuck the robot, Preston? Preston's like, how dare you imply that?
But in the middle of the rest of the interview, we just kind of get the reveal that it's actually Fox watching this whole
Oh
news
my
story,
God.
and she's
Yeah.
just kind of like smirking.
She is. She's just smirking very evilly.
Like she's like, this shit's so funny. Like
all according to
I'm gonna
plan.
fuck everything up
Uh-huh.
for no reason. And the news guy is like, hey, the news guy, Travis Marshall. He's like, hey, is it true that this doesn't work, that the company is pretty much dead? Okay, wait, let me
What?
word out exactly. His exact words are, is it true that Renard has invested his entire personal fortune into the Fortress 2, like the airship, and if it doesn't perform, both he and his company, Cyberbiotics, will be wiped out? And Preston's just like, oh wait, that's actually two questions,
actually
man.
2 questions.
And this interview's over.
And he just fucking stone
just,
cold
like,
walks
stone cold
away. It's
walks
the best
away.
thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't think we're supposed to like Preston Vogel. I fucking love Preston Vogel just for leaving like that.
He's just kind of funny,
I think we might be supposed to like Preston Vogel.
I don't think we are.
I don't know. Like
He's sort of the bad guy of this episode.
he blends like the reality for viewers because he looks like someone we're familiar with. Just comes into the show, fucks up the day for these people who we just met, and that's it. Every time I slap my knee, I think it affects the microphone, so I need to stop doing that.
It's a good knee slapper.
Oh. I love seeing the audio spikes. They're so funny. He declines the rest of the interview. I mean, like, technically it was one question segueing into the next, because the way he words those questions, it's like, you can't really have one without the other. I don't know.
He's trying to do a little cheat. He's trying to add on to his first question. Not gonna happen. Not when Preston Vogel's on the case. He's
it's
out
like
of there.
it's like he declines to comment is his main point while also being a grammar jerk. Like
He's so stiff. Like, he reminds me of when I used to work retail. Like, that would be how I would act with people. Just everyone annoyed the hell out of me, and I'm just like, no, like, get away from me.
So he walks back to his ship, storms off, and then meanwhile, back in Castle Wyvern, as soon as Xanatos enters the room, Fox flips the switch on the TV.
She's just like me whenever I'm watching TV, and someone have you guys noticed I do that all the
Yes,
time?
it's very annoying.
I think so.
But I like to have secrets, and I think that's why Fox does it too. Like, it's not that she wants to keep it a secret from Xanatos, but she's just so used to having secrets in her life. It's just habitual.
Yeah, no, that's just like how she be though. So,
But then of course he's like, no need to turn it off on my account, darling.
Darling.
No big deal, David. I know what happens next.
Mm-hmm. And she like walks up to him like so seductively. She's like, I know what happens next. You and me are gonna fuck in this chair.
yeah, like Fox is... See, I did notate those lines down, and I'm just putting, like, Fox is horny, and Xanatos is kind of like, what the hell are you up to? Like, I don't understand.
He knows that she's up to something.
Like, he knows
But he
she
doesn't
is.
know what. Just
He
they're
doesn't.
always up to something.
Yeah,
these two.
exactly.
They're always they're always playing their little mind games.
Yep.
That's their love language.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I dig that. I'm into it.
I mean, she's gonna play a much worse mind game on him before this episode's over. But we'll get to that.
It's really
Oh. So, onto the robot ship, we have Preston Vogel just trying to, like, standing there like a statue as this giant robot walks across the ship's, what I assume is the main Caban base. There's, like, all these monitors and giant, like, computer chips in the walls. He announces to Mr. Renard, who we finally see, that the robots are ready for launch. Mr. Renard responds on a video interface, also within the ship, I guess. Like, they're not talking directly. Like, he's in another room, telling Preston to stay out of the robot's way. They don't want the test compromised for any reason.
Yeah, he's like, you're a human, so don't mess with my perfect robots who never do anything wrong.
Yeah. So the ship flies off into the sky, and yeah, now some propellers are going, and we see, like, we pan over as the ship flies over into the horizon to our two leads, Goliath and Lisa, just watching from the rocks as this ship takes off.
Mm-hmm.
The moon looks great. It's always full. City looks cool. If you need a good desktop wallpaper, go to this episode, and like 3 minutes 20 seconds in, you can't snag it if you watch Disney Plus, but any other outlet you can probably get a good wallpaper out of that. Let me take a drink. Can you tell I'm getting dry?
Don't get dry, get wet.
Moisturize me. Alright. So, I don't know what they're doing here, but Elisa asks him, are you sure this is necessary? Like, like it's all somber, like the wind's blowing in their hair. And Goliath's responding with, Xanatos was devious enough to trick me into attacking the first airship. And then we get awakening flashbacks.
We get like 2 minutes.
2 minutes
of
worth
flashbacks.
of
Alright,
flashbacks.
so instead of describing those flashbacks, can I tell you the story behind those flashbacks?
Sure.
Because I feel like describing those flashbacks is going to be painful for everyone involved, including the listeners.
Yes.
So, when this story was originally scripted, that flashback was not there. What a shocker.
Okay.
When it was storyboarded, that flashback was not there.
So, do they have to scrap some other sequence and then
No.
put this in for time? Or...
No, so close, but yeah. So then they like put it up as an animatic, timed it out, and they're like, "What the heck happened?" Because they wrote a script that's the same length as their normal script.
Somebody fucked up.
The storyboard put together the storyboard and then started carrying it all out into an animatic and realized they're like not. I think they were about 2 minutes under the minimum length of an episode.
Why? How did that happen?
And like basically he said it was just luck of the draw. Like we wrote it out the same as we normally do, but they always come in a little under or over, and this one just came in way under. So now keep in mind, right around this, by this point in development, he's already been told he needs to do 52 episodes now.
Oh my god!
So they cannot go back and add to this stage and try and rewrite stuff and rename it.
Poor man.
So someone suggests they just put in a flashback to the original time the ship went down.
Sure, I mean it works.
No,
So he's like, yes, but then in the interview he gave on it, he went on a rant about how it was a horrible, horrible mistake.
Well, someday there'll be a director's cut, and they'll just remove that flashback, and it'll be fine.
But yes, so that's why there's a 2-minute flashback that retells the entirety of the stuff in a way.
Yeah, like basically we just see Demona and Goliath blow up the first.
Yeah.
But they add all these scenes that have to do with things that aren't relevant to this episode.
Yeah, they did.
I mean,
because they just were padding for time.
I mean, they did a good job at establishing to the viewer, like, yes, it wasn't Goliath's fault. It was all Demona. Goliath just happened to, believe Xanatos and also be there at the same time.
He just, he was just following orders. It wasn't his fault.
So, yeah, anyways, end of flashback, ship crashes, Goliath turns to Elisa and is like, who knows what he has planned for this one? I'm going to follow along just to be safe.
She sort of seems just resigned. She's like, I think this is stupid, but whatever. I guess I can't stop
I mean,
you.
she's right, though. It is very stupid.
Oh, it's incredibly stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. In order to stop what happened before from happening again, I'm gonna follow this exact replica.
He's just gonna fly and just watch it.
I'm sure nothing could go wrong.
Okay, but he is correct because someone's planning to attack the fortress.
Yeah.
I
mean, he had a good call. He's like, yeah, some shit's gonna go down, and I'm gonna be there. You can't stop me. Anyways, I what I put in my notes here, I was like, I don't understand this at all. I mean, you could leave this airship alone. I guess he's trying to make sure this one isn't a trick, is what I said.
I do agree with you. I don't his presence shouldn't have averted the conflict that's coming.
No.
But he just got lucky, and it will.
He flexes his pecs and flies after the thing.
I put the same thing in mind, though. I put he flexes for no reason before he flies away.
And Elise is like, you better be careful out there, as she watches his ass fly away.
Yes.
So Elisa's hair is better animated than most of the rest of this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
that's
they
good.
animated every strand of her hair flowing in the wind.
Spend the money on what's important.
And I'm just like, Elisa, you're barely in this episode. Why do you have the best animation?
She's gotta look good in it. It's in her contract.
Funny.
She's like, you have to draw me dead, or I'm leaving.
The moon. We pan over to we segue to another cool shot of the moon over the city, and I mean the moon's always super giant, looks
huge.
Full. Looks full. I mean,
yeah, in this case, it's right in front of the Twin Towers too, which I'm just like,
jeez, you're
okay.
right. And it's just the airship coming in from above.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
I was like,
No!
well,
And then the whole episode.
I-
oh my god! And this was before 9/11. They tried to warn us.
they tried to warn us. Oh my,
I seem to notice every time we watch a 90s cartoon, there is inevitably a shot of an airplane and the Twin Towers together.
That's because
Okay, well, it's the biggest part of the
They
New
were-
York City
they were,
landscape,
like,
you
just-
know? It's hard
it
not
was
to show
it was supposed to be a point out to yes, this is in New York City. That's used to what it used to be. And I mean, they cut an entire sequence out of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man film that involved the Twin Towers, where he stops bank robbers in a helicopter by webbing them to the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Oh, it was web between the towers,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because that was in one of the trailers.
There was also a poster with that, and I think it was supposed to be in the movie. They just cut it because 9/11 happened.
It's too bad, because that probably would have been a cool sequence.
It was, because they originally were just gonna have that be this is the reveal of Spider-Man's here, after, after his uncle died or whatever. And they changed that into, it's just a compilation of New Yorkers singing about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And that's fine too.
Anyways, can't recommend these moon wallpapers enough. 522 if you want another one.
Collect them all.
Goliath hovers behind the ship, and Preston looks grumpy in the ship, like just hanging out.
Yeah, because his boss is like, don't get in the way of the robots, bitch. And he's like, okay.
Don't fuck the robots, Preston.
Stop fucking the robots.
You can't fuck the robots.
Only I get to fuck the
robots. This will jeopardize the mission if you fuck the robots.
You won't fuck them correctly. Only I can do that.
So Preston turns to like a nearby robot, and then he sees like the cameras, like just like a solo shot of like just Goliath just like hanging out like in the wind.
Big, muscular, purple.
It's like a really funny image of him. You can't really see his face well enough, but you can see the rest of him, so you know it's him.
You can see his pecs. You recognize him by his pecs.
Yeah. So they activate the robot security, and the robots like come out of the ship, and then they like swarm Goliath, shooting lasers at him. And, like, zap him in the butt.
They do literally zap him in the butt.
Several times.
And then he says, "That stings!"
Yeah.
After one of them. So yeah,
I described so much of the sequence.
It was kind of nice.
You don't have to worry. This was where my notes peaked.
Let's say.
Okay. So he tries to reason with them at first. And he's like, "You don't need to attack me. I am not your enemy. And, you know, I'm just thinking again, bro, you don't have to be here."
Yeah, you don't need to be here in the first place.
He swoops down, and he's like, "Damn, I don't know how to reason with robots." So he's like, "Whatever, I'll just destroy them."
Yeah, okay, what? Okay, he's trying to protect the airship, but then he just attacks them. Like, why doesn't he just leave? You know, like, now he's actually damaging the airship.
I just don't understand it.
Like, I know it's because they're attacking him, but he doesn't need to be there in the first place.
He knows a
He
thing
feels
or
like
two.
he needs to be there, though.
Like, it's fate calling him.
He's
to
like,
the
"Let me
airship.
protect you,"
This
while,
is-
like, bashing
this
them
is-
to pieces.
This is for the plot.
It's very Goliath.
Okay, so he gets like, "I'll just destroy them," and then right after, he gets it like right in the ass. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, the pose he makes, it's very like, I just got shot in the ass. Like, his posture. Like, I mean, I would know what this like visage looks like. I mean, after all the time Skeletor's done this with his cohorts.
Oh my god.
Like, he just sears their hole, and then like it just happened to Goliath. That's what just happened.
Right in the butthole.
He's like, "That stings," and smashes the robot. So it does like he's feeling it right now. Like, it stings.
Dude.
I do agree. Getting zapped right on the beehole does sting.
Wait, you agree?
Yes.
Do you know about this firsthand? Do you have
He destroys another robot by squeezing it like a watermelon, and then gets swarmed some more. Zaps happen, like, by the robots onto him. One on his crotch, one on...
He just suffers like cock and ball
one on
torture
his
for a
back.
while.
Then he's like, then he just starts kind of like yelling, and like orgasm style yelling.
Yeah,
and then he
like-
starts flailing out of the sky.
You can tell these are Halcyon Renard robots because they go right for the like the kinky stuff immediately.
Yeah. And then like the robots, like, as he's like flailing down the sky, they grab him with like their little tentacle claws. And then they just started like kind of like handling the defeated gargoyle. They hold him above the city like he's Jesus.
Okay.
And
He's slumped over. He's unconscious. He's a damsel.
he's damn. Like, then they just kind of like carry him back to the airship like he's a package.
Yeah.
So, when he's falling, though, they decided to redraw him every single frame for some reason. Instead of like doing anything else. Nope. New every frame. One frame, his taint is literally visible, and there's just a weird black shadow over his crotch. I'm not making this up.
But
you can go find it
comic
yourself.
book style shadows, the crotch shadows have struck again.
Did you screenshot those?
I did.
Yes,
I don't know if I shared them.
You did share it,
Okay.
thankfully. That was the one when you posted it, I was like, yes, this is something I was planning on talking about during the episode.
Listeners, every time I go over an episode for reviewing, I take like 10,000 screenshots and just share them in our group chat so that...
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
See?
Oh my
Okay.
god!
Yeah.
I thought that was his tail at first, but that
His tail's here. Oops.
that could actually be like his ball bag.
I'm pretty sure that's his tail, but like you can see like
those are
in
Goliath's testicles.
It's like Bara comic, like manga style censorship.
He's like
just a
he
black
looks
shadow.
like he's like he looks like he's about to get like fucked too, which is like the funny
legs
part.
in the air
Um.
on
So
his
yeah.
back.
So when I was looking through frames, I'm like, I can't believe this frame is in the actual episode.
I mean,
It's
damn.
not the only time we see his full bare ass in this episode.
No, we see his
No,
bare
we see-
ass a lot in this episode.
Gargoyles is just the gift that keeps giving.
It's a beautiful show.
Yes. So after they just kind of like carried the package Goliath back to the ship, we pan to Goliath just like kind of sleeping on the floor. I don't know why I described it like that. He wakes up,
Taking a little nap.
he wakes up moaning, heaving his breath.
Can't even get through it with a straight face, huh?
I can't. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's true. That is how
That
he
is
woke up.
how it happens.
That is correct.
Oh my gosh. And looks up at the cage he's been put in. So this was all just an elaborate excuse to get this man in bondage.
Yeah.
Again. Which is the
Yes.
go-to. He grabs the bars and starts like flexing and growling and bending the bars like a man should, like and then they zap his titties. And I swear to gosh, when they zap him back, we get like a full visual of like when he's on his back, his feet are up, a lot like this frame we were just talking about.
Yeah, we do get a really good look at his feet. If you're
And
into
his feet are up, yes, I mentioned that. And his backside is exposed, but they add in like that weird brown underwear beneath the loincloth thing again to try to like censor all the bits. It's so funny. They did the same thing in the Deadly Force episode when he just like lands
so
and you see
weird.
like the complete visual of just brown underwear, like the same exact palette as his loincloth. It's like, okay.
Like the only like sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's like,
I think
which
in
is
reality,
it, you know?
those are not there, and whenever we see them, that's just like the
Fake.
Disney executives just like slapping like censorship on the show. Like, okay, no, you gotta cover that up, man.
Yeah. there's a
Like,
full
gosh,
bunch of balls
why don't
here.
these characters ever wear anything like that's more presentable?
And why do the animators constantly give us looks
Like,
of their
why?
loincloths for us to see?
Every episode. We cannot go an episode without that.
No, we can't. This is the loincloth hour. Anyways, Preston and Renard just come in the room, and he's like, in Renard's just like, we see him, he's like a frail old man just like laying around in like a little hover chair constantly because he's lazy and rich.
I think he shops at the same wheelchair store that Professor Xavier uses.
Yeah, but I like Renard more than Professor Xavier.
Renard has like guns and shit on his. He has a pretty
Yeah.
serious wheelchair.
No, it's cool.
I'll hold off until later to talk more about that because I have some things to say.
Oh my gosh. So Renard's like, at last, I'll be able to see one of Genutech's abominable creations in the flesh. Xanatos and his lab rats must be proud indeed. I think that's what he says.
I don't even know. All I wrote on my notes for this part is Halcyon gives this whole speech about Genutech and how Goliath is a corporate spy or something. But Goliath is laying on his back, legs spread, and just showing his entire taint the whole time.
Yeah.
So I got distracted.
See, would a spy have a cock like this? Anyways. Okay. Goliath's like, okay, listen, my name is Goliath, not a creation. I belong to no one. I'm a badass bitch that don't need no man, especially not Xanatos. And Renard's just kind of like, lol, of course not.
I actually love Halcyon's reaction to that, because he's just so dismissive. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay.
Like, he's like, yeah, that's exactly what a spy would say. And Goliath's just kind of like, wait, why am I being held here? Renard's like, as long as you're prisoner on my ship, I know you can't destroy my ship for your master. Which is like, it is kind of...
no master.
It's kind of like funny, like, to stop you from destroying my ship, I imprisoned you on my ship.
Yeah.
Try to get out of that one, big boy.
A couple little logic puzzles for you here.
So it's like, it's so funny because he thinks he's like dating Xanatos, and it's like, he thinks he's like, Xanatos' weird subby, like, beef cake. Like, he calls Xanatos his master. Like, he's onto his, like, I know all about his little freaky things. What do you think my daughter's been up to, man? Anyways.
I mean, he might know about Xanatos' like, Goliath fursuit, so, like, that might be a reason, too, to be like,
Yeah,
oh, well, obviously you're just, like, his
like,
sex pets.
I mean,
like...
he probably saw the photos from the wedding, so...
I wonder
Yeah.
if, like, I could see...
I can imagine Fox grinning as she sends her father's photos of her wedding. She's like, oh, he's gonna love these.
Oh my god, she's such a little prankster, that one. Sending her dad a sex tape.
Yeah, the same sex tape that they used to, like, convince the priest and everyone that gargoyles are real. Anyway.
That's funny. Okay, so, Goliath's like, I told you, I don't have a master. I am my own master. And then he's, like, flexing. Renard's like, oh yeah? Well, look at this footage of you destroying my old ship.
I think it's very funny that he has, like, a screen built into the wall of the brig to be like, let me show you all of your crimes. Like, this is... Like, that has to be the... That's what it's there for. Like...
Legitimately, like, that's the most likely reason for it to exist.
Alright, so Goliath's like, okay, listen.
But now we watch the same footage again that we watched for 2 minutes earlier. This was when the footage was actually supposed to show up in the episode.
You know, they really want to get the point across that Goliath's a bad boy. I couldn't say that seriously. Okay, so Goliath's like, okay, listen. Xanatos tricked me into that, and it was not my fault. They, like, told me some things, and I believed him. And Renard's like, oh, you sound just like every human employee I've hired put together. And
No, fired.
Oh.
Yeah.
Captions read differently. Maybe I was just, I don't know. Maybe I read
They
them wrong.
sound very similar.
They do!
They do sound similar, but there's a big difference between fired and hired.
Well, not to Halcyon, because I feel
Yeah,
like he's fired.
there is.
Most of the people he's hired by this point.
No, but, like, I was thinking that. And I'm like, that's kind of harsh. But now that you said that he said fired, I'm like, oh, that's not so harsh, I guess. So Renard's like, if you crush all my employees together, you couldn't get any personal integrity from the lot. Like, he really hates people.
Yeah.
Renard's like, so you better take your responsibility for your actions and shut up and quit whining.
Stop whining.
Goliath's like, oh yeah, well, a gargoyle doesn't whine, he roars! And does, like, a big, scary, loud, like, manly roar.
And just flexing his chest.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And
it's
then, like,
one of the best
less
lines
than a
of all
second
time.
later, he breaks the fucking cage open. Like, he just, like, throws his body against the bars and it's done. And then, like, he destroys a robot in the process, which is, like, the coolest shit I've seen. But Renard's just kind of like, oh, I'm trembling in my chair. And then just zaps the orgasms out of Goliath some more. So, and then upon being zapped, Goliath lets out, like, a weakened, like, groan before falling to his knees. And then, like, dramatically tosses his own ragdoll form face down onto the floor.
Like, he always passes out by, like, falling to his knees first.
Yeah,
and then
like...
falling over from there.
I've never seen a subbier man in my life.
So while we were watching, Croup here posts 2 GIFs of from different episodes.
From High Noon. From literally the episode before this one.
Yeah, the GIF of High Noon of how Goliath passed out there, which we see at like a 3/4 angle, and then a GIF from this episode where it's like straight on is the exact same animation but from two different angles.
It's really
How many
funny
fucking times in this show, like, they just sexualize the hell out of Goliath at a constant basis?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I wonder if someone had to like model that for the animators.
Like, he
when they
fell,
were,
like, it's crazy how sexual he made that fall, like, with some ass poking out at the end, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, he always has to land face down, ass up, too, of course.
There's a lot of side cheek in this episode. Like, we can't even talk about all of it because there's so much
Goliath. Like, he's just like an endless visual ocean we as the viewers get to swim in. It's beautiful.
It's a feast for the eyes.
So, anyways, and then this follows up with, like, Preston saying, "Yep, this is all my fault, sir. I should have done better with this."
Okay, it's really funny because he's like, I should have put him in the maximum security cell. Like a cell that might actually hold him. It's like, yeah, Preston, you probably should have. Like, why didn't you? But this is actually our first clue that he is
And then
a traitor.
Renard's
because
like,
he actually had a very good reason for doing this. You
Renard's,
just didn't expect him to break out that quickly.
oh my gosh. Yeah, well, then Renard's like, okay, well, at least someone's owning up to their mistakes.
Yeah, I don't have to spank you today.
you get the spare. You're spared on the zaps for today, but I will zap those orgasms out of you one of these days, boy.
Zaps.
Like, is it not a surprise that Fox's father is as horny as she is?
But he
Seriously.
just covers it up in a veneer of, but I have personal integrity.
Yeah.
So that makes anything
like,
I do okay.
This is
They are
like
so
consensual
equally kinky,
bonding.
it's not even funny.
Yeah. It runs in the family.
Definitely.
Okay, so so Renard's like, do whatever you want, just make sure it's corrected. And Preston even like apologizes one more time, and I kind of want to smack Preston here. Like, shut up. We gotta Fox video calls Preston right after Renard leaves the room.
Okay, I just need to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, so he gets a phone call, and then Halcyon leaves. He's like, take your call. And then Preston goes to like a slot on the wall, puts his phone, which is not a smartphone, by the way. This is like 1995. He puts
a
like
really
just a
giant
big
grip.
bulky phone into the wall like it's a VHS tape. And it makes like a Skype call come up somehow.
I didn't even register all
Like,
of
I had to
that.
watch it like 5 times.
did too.
Because I was like, what? I didn't realize what he was even putting into the wall. I had to like rewatch and be like, that's his phone. Like, how does this work?
Listen.
The funny part is, like, nowadays, that kind of tech is commonplace.
Yeah, but like, not back then. It was amazing.
Yeah, but you don't even like put your phone into a wall nowadays. You just kind of scan it.
Right. But I mean, there's still a lot of docking stations and stuff where you just drop it on a docking station and it connects.
True.
Especially for laptops. You just put your laptop down and suddenly it's projected onto all the screens.
Cyberbiotics really is cutting edge technology. They were there before anybody.
So, Fox video calls Preston and she's like, hey, so are you sure it's safe to talk right now? And Preston's like, yeah, it's cool. He never intrudes on my privacy, and I totally respect him for that.
But it's not trying to keep me from betraying him, though.
Fox is like, did you get the money? Well, she's like, did you get the blah, blah,
Down
blah,
payment.
wired into your blah, 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 but I put it in, did you get the money?
Did you get it?
Did you get the down payment wired into your account, I believe?
Yeah, that's what she says. And then he Preston's like, yep, we're gonna get it started tonight, but with one minor alteration. And Fox is like, oh god, I hate surprises. Preston's like, no, you'll like this one.
It's a big,
You might say
beefy,
it
stupid
fell right
surprise.
out of the sky, and then the Cybots like lift up the unconscious Goliath to just like kind of show him off for a little bit. They like grab him by his biceps.
Yeah, they're perfect little patsy.
Yeah. So Preston's like the perfect. So he's like, this is the perfect person we can just blame for all of this shit. And then like the camera zooms in on Goliath's packs, and we fade to commercial.
Yep. So, okay, when we come back, Goliath and Halcyon are just arguing some more. Goliath's woken up. His bondage has now been upgraded.
It's so much kinkier.
He has like multiple cuffs on his wrists, his ankles, and they're all like connected to the floor by like robotic tentacle-looking things.
Yeah.
He looks great. he's flexing very angrily. He's beautiful. It's one of my favorite images of him.
See, I don't
of
know
all
why
time.
people dish on the Renard episodes. I kind of like them for these kinds of like. It's always kinky when he gets involved.
It delivers on the visuals at
Yeah.
least. So Goliath is continuing to insist that it's Xanatos' fault that Fortress 1 was destroyed. And Halcyon replies, yeah, like, it probably is. Xanatos has already corrupted many employees who used to work for him, including Owen Burnett and Anton Savarius. They used to be in Halcyon's employ. And yeah, Xanatos probably did trick Goliath. So then Goliath is like, if you know that, then why are you holding me prisoner? And Halcyon says, it doesn't matter if Goliath was tricked, he's still responsible. He did grievous damage to Cyberbiotics, and it's up to him to undo it. So this, for me, is where the episode breaks down, because I agree with Goliath that it isn't his fault. He was tricked. Like, he's as much a victim, he's a fellow victim, along with Halcyon. So, like, I feel like in his position, like, he isn't at fault. And if anything, the two of them should be teaming up against Xanatos. But Halcyon is insistent that he should get some sort of reparation, like, from Goliath instead, who doesn't have anything to give. Like, Goliath doesn't have money. I don't know what Halcyon expects Goliath to actually do to make up for, like, destroying the fortress. Like, he can't make another air fortress. Like, I don't know what Halcyon wants.
So why does he want an air fortress?
Who doesn't want an air fortress?
Okay.
What do you think of this?
Like, why did he
Should I tell
invest
you what
his
my initial
entire
thought
company?
was, or should I tell you what Greg's answer was?
Well, I want your opinion, of
Okay.
course. Always your opinion.
Okay, because Greg's opinion is really funny. But anyways,
I'm sure it is.
we'll get to that later. So my thoughts are pretty simple. Really seems like a classic case of compensating.
Who, Halcyon's compensating?
Yes.
Like, he can't get payment from Xanatos, but he can get payment from this guy.
Oh no! I thought you were asking why he was. You asked me why he was building a airship.
The airship. Okay, sure. It's compensating for his small, shriveled
think
old
I
man
asked
penis.
that.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Which
We're
question were you
talking.
asking
We're
me?
talking about. Wait.
fine.
Okay. Wait. What's Greg's answer for why he built Fortress
I
2?
didn't even
Is that
get
what
the
you were
first one
saying?
completely,
No,
like,
yes.
compensating.
So Greg's answer is Euro Disney.
Euro Disney?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that means here.
Europe-
The funny part is,
European Disney?
so the thing I'm taking from is from notes he wrote during the episodes was being aired. It's referencing a news event that happened back in 1992. And it's just Euro Disney. I had to go Google it up to figure out what the heck he was doing.
were there robots in Euro Disney or something?
No. So in back in 1992, Disney, seeing themselves as the unstoppable conglomerate they were, was like, well, we've opened up Disneyland Tokyo, Disneyland in California, Japan. We're just gonna open one up in Paris and call it Euro Disney.
And it failed, right? Like,
It was
people didn't go to it.
Yeah, it was a horrible disaster. Not the least of which because the term Euro in Europe typically stands for very businessy and boring in connotation. But they didn't bother to do any market research first.
Because that's like the name of their currency. It'd be opening a theme park in
Well,
America
Euro-
and being like dollar Disney.
Did the euro even exist at that point? This is
I'm
1992.
What did they use for currency in Europe?
Ruples.
What? I mean,
They used the marks.
I mean, like,
The
I
pound.
imagine euros would have existed.
the
When did Euro come about?
The Euro it came about
You never
in
know
1999.
You never
Oh,
know what we're going to
shit.
talk about on this show. Really? I thought it was so much earlier than
No,
that.
because I remember reading the article about when it came into existence.
Wow, so they really needed it by then. Just imagine living in a place where there's like so many different currencies and you have to like...
Yeah, because every country had its own
Oh my
currency up
God,
until
that would
then.
be annoying as hell.
But in 1999, the European Union all came together and agreed on a standard currency.
And they called it the Euro, which stands for business light and boring.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
named it after Euro Disney, in
I don't
fact.
think there's a more fitting name for currency.
So yes, so Euro Disney had just recently opened and been a huge failure. Everyone was apparently convinced it was going to collapse. It didn't actually collapse because Disney had money up the wazoo to keep it alive until it
Good for
became,
them.
it's Disney. But at the time, yes. So basically, he was using Euro Disney as a term for hubris.
That makes sense. But okay. Back to what we should actually be talking about.
Fucking goddamn Renard got us talking about Euros with his stupid fucking airship and his nonsensical ramblings about integrity. Like, now we're here talking about Euros because we're
Okay.
so confused by this man.
I think, as to your actual question, which I will now answer, I do think what Halcyon wants and what Goliath isn't doing is for Goliath to acknowledge his role in what happened.
Yeah, that's
So
what,
far-
I got that.
But he
No.
has, though. He's been like,
No.
I was tricked. He's not denying that he blew up the fortress, because he definitely did do that.
But he has not acknowledged it. Every time he's always said someone else. He didn't acknowledge that he made the choice to listen when someone told him, you need to blow up an airship. He didn't ask questions.
He'd been in the modern day for like 24 hours by then. He was
Okay.
a little baby boy. He didn't
All right,
know any better.
we know enough to know that
Xanatos told him they were bad people.
He's been, like,
from
speaking.
from Renard's perspective, like
No, I
Yes,
understand his
yeah.
perspective.
that's what he's looking for.
He's
I
looking
understand
for
that.
those two little
Like, that's very
words.
black and white, him trying to get Goliath to be like, stop diverting the
Well,
blame.
Renard is the most black and white person that exists in this freaking show.
Which is funny, because he invested all his company into an airship.
Yes.
Twice.
He wants to fly around and look down on everyone. with his
Like,
robots.
that's the... Okay, Steve. Like, that works as an answer. That's how... That's what I was looking for.
He literally he thinks he's above
Anyway.
normal people, and he wants to
Yeah.
also be literally above them. You know.
Oh, gosh, we're reaching an hour on the Loincloth hour.
So okay, so instead of the episode takes the tack, it seems to me like it seems more framed as Goliath is too stubborn to admit he's at fault. Which, yeah, like, I guess that ties into what you were saying. Like, he doesn't want to admit that he had any culpability in what happened. And then, so Halcyon is like, so what are you going to do? And Goliath sort of just, like, looks at all the restraints on him, and he's like, a better question might be, what are you going to do? Because he's currently tied up in kinky bonds. He can't really do anything right
Oh!
now.
Okay.
Like,
Despite what happens
it's
later
like, you're
on.
not giving me a lot of options here, buddy.
Yeah,
I can't
so-
really do much.
Insert Thanksgiving story for day 8 here, Spanking Machine by
Yeah.
Creep,
Oh god.
which is the Halcyon Renard story.
Yeah.
Cut to Fox and Xanatos having a sexy karate montage while classical
Yeah.
music plays.
Like, we just watched, like, Fox peg Xanatos right there in the judo studio.
No, we...
Yes, we do. What are you talking about? She gets right on top of his
Yeah, we're
back,
going
man.
to. Yeah. So, okay, they're both looking hot as hell. Fox is not wearing a bra beneath her karate gi because she's feeling dangerous today.
She never wears a bra.
How do you know that?
I know her.
She's just always she's always.
I'm
free.
just like, oh, Fox always flashing her titties, trying to manipulate everyone in her vicinity.
She's always free balling, but for breasts.
Yeah.
Xanatos notes that she seems distracted, and asks if she's having second thoughts about Renard. He's on a first name basis.
No,
Well,
he's
no,
not.
he's not. Renard's his last name. Never mind. I'm all over the place.
Well, Renard was originally his first name.
Renard sounds
In the
like a
script.
first name.
It
It
does.
was originally his first name.
Okay, so his line obviously was written in the first draft of the script, and
Probably.
they kept it. So
Did Anastasia call him Hal for sure? Short.
Hal, maybe.
Like Halcyon, like
I'm
you don't
sorry,
just say,
I
"Oh,
cannot do
Halcyon,
that."
I need you to get the mail today." Like I can't see it.
I feel like if you have a name like Halcyon, you want people to say the whole thing. Just Halcyon's a very cool name, in my opinion.
I'd call him Hal anyways.
Well, yeah, just to annoy him, and he'd be
Yeah.
like, "You lack personal integrity."
Oh god.
And this is how. So in response to this, Fox gets him in like a sexual arm lock.
She fights him.
She will. Okay, so Xanatos says that if her hostile takeover succeeds, then Halcyon will be wiped out. And he's too old to like rebuild his fortunes again. And Fox just says, "Oh, he'll manage. He always has." Then they do this insane like couples flip, or like they both like dive through the air. She ends up on top of Xanatos in prime petting position. We're at the petting part now. And Xanatos is probably remembering the time that she was a were-monster. But then Fox is just like, if all goes well, Cybervirus will be mine by morning. We'll celebrate over breakfast. And she just sort of like slaps his ass and is like, this workout's over now.
Oh my gosh.
Xanatos gets a call on his huge cell phone that he has, but is he surprised when it's not for him? It's Fox. It's her doctor calling with test results. And she just says, "Oh, didn't I mention them? I suppose it slipped my mind." And like, they're so fucking weird, these two.
Yeah, like they don't.
It's just gameplay.
Like she's using her own pregnancy now, and she's just incorporating it into like their weird sex games that they play with each other. She's like, "Oh, I guess I didn't tell you about that. Too bad I'm turned on by keeping secrets from you." It's like, I fucking can't. But you know, she's like me. You know, we just love to keep secrets. Some of us, just secrets they're sexy. Meanwhile, on Fortress 2, Preston Vogel, he's going around updating some of the Cybots, but it's an evil update because evil music is playing while he's doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But back on the judo
okay,
scene.
let's go back to the judo scene.
I mean, it's one of my favorite scenes of the episode, so we have to discuss it more. So, like, we see Xanatos' expression during the test thing, and he looks, like, genuinely worried, because he's like, is she sick? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, he doesn't know!
Like, we know what the tests are, but she's just totally... And also, he clearly just can't grasp that she,
Could be pregnant?
No, before that. That, like, she's totally okay with what she's doing to her father.
Yeah, like
he could not do that to his own father.
That she'll have some reservations about this, but she's like, "Oh no, I've been doing this for years." She's like, "I've tried to kill him once a week since I was 17, David. Like, you don't even know."
And he's
So
just like,
funny.
"Oh, you can let it off. I mean, I'll give you an exit." And she's just like, "No." And he's just like, "What is going on here?" And
But yeah, like, you're right. Like, his dad is like one of the only people who he probably wouldn't try anything with, because
Yeah.
he's like, he's my dad. Like, I don't want to fuck him up.
Yep.
She has no such concerns.
She has-
in this
yeah.
Like, she's the more sociopathic one in this.
I
film.
do enjoy that.
So once Preston is done updating the robots with his evil cyber virus, I guess, there's an extreme close up on his smirking face, which I just thought was really funny. Like, it goes right down.
Zoomed in right on Vogel's freaking mouth. It was disgusting.
It's beautiful. I love Preston. I feel the same. I guess the same like energy that I feel for Owen. You know, I just like
Why?
both of these prim and proper men.
What do these two have in common?
I don't know. There's just something about them.
They're two different people.
They just seem sort of similar somehow. I
I
can't
don't
put my
know what you're
finger
talking
on
about.
it. So after that, we go back to Goliath and Halcyon, who are just still in the same conversation. Halcyon's saying, "Well, you should probably hand over Goliath to the police." And Goliath's like, "Well, if you do that, I'm going to be in a lab the rest of my life." And he's like, "Is that an equitable punishment?" And then Halcyon's like, "So you finally admit you need punishment."
He's so horny.
And then there's just insert another spanking scene on top of that. At least in my imagination. Okay. Kink aside, here's my other problem with the episode, which is just Halcyon himself. Because he's painted as this great moral, upstanding man for whom ethics are the most important thing in his life. He's also a billionaire.
Yeah.
And as we know from real life, ethical billionaires aren't real.
Yeah.
He's not a billionaire, though.
He has an airship.
He is a multi-millionaire, but he's not a billionaire. And
Excuse me.
I'm just saying...
Let's be precise.
No, I'm just... Let's take an actual look at this. His company's about to be run into the ground.
Because he built a massive airship.
Okay, yes. But... this isn't the kind of guy who has a billion... a $1 billion corporation is huge. He's not running a $1 billion corporation.
I think we should ask Greg his opinion on this. Let's see what he says. Because it seemed like, at least when the show started with Fortress 1, it seemed like Xanatos and Halcyon were on equal footing, almost. Halcyon had close to as much money as Xanatos did at that time. But now that he's lost the first fortress, and if he loses the second one, he would have nothing
Well,
left.
he didn't just lose the first fortress. He also lost the labyrinth.
The Labyrinth was his too?
Yeah.
That's right. That was in our sexy roleplay that time. I had to look up the origins of the Labyrinth.
Yeah. No, the labyrinth was his underground base that also got wrecked, which is how the labyrinth came to exist, even though they never really make it super clear in the show itself.
Yeah, I think they must mention it one time that it used to be a Cyberbiotics installation. But has that happened yet in this show?
The labyrinth?
How did he lose the Labyrinth?
During Awakening.
Did Anton take it?
No, freaking,
Oh, right. The Hudson broke in there.
Broke in and blew the place up.
Right. Right.
Damn.
So he's been on a losing streak for a while. Okay, but before he was a multimillionaire, he probably was a billionaire. So let's go.
Maybe.
You can't.
We do not know. We don't have any evidence either way whether he was unethical in his business or not.
Well, he acts like he was.
Well,
you know,
he's just because he acts as I don't know, because something about a guy who just rolls around in a hover bed the entire time he's working. Something about that, I'm just no one man should have that much power.
he has a one button for his orgasm ray that he just turns on people.
Yeah, the weapons in his thing too. It's just okay.
That's very Charles Xavier. He's just an old gay man who keeps a lot of weapons and is I don't need to bother helping minorities. I got mine. I'm fine. That's the impression I get. He gives me Xavier vibes.
We were talking about Vogel's gross zoom in.
No, we moved past that.
And he's about to suffer for his hubris, though, however much money he has, because all the robots that he's sunk his fortunes into are busy going haywire in the command center at the moment. Meanwhile, the dozens upon dozens of spankings by now are finally getting to Goliath. He's finally come around to Halcyon's way of thinking. He says, "No more excuses. I accept full responsibility for my actions. I was wrong." And Halcyon says, "I'm glad you're gargoyle enough to admit it. It was not easy." Halcyon says, "Integrity is never easy. It's a daily struggle." And he slips into some remembrances of what his own integrity has cost him over the years. His Anastasia, his Janine, and then Goliath says, "My angel of the night." So the two of them, they sort of bond over how many bad bitches there are in their lives who are above such petty concerns as morality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, Goliath actually starts thanking him for the spankings, because he's so deep into subspace now. He's like, "Thank you, Daddy. I deserve them all. Give me more." But their love fest is interrupted by a bunch of the robots just coming into the room, and they start arcing electricity back and forth between their heads. And Goliath's "Are they supposed to be doing that?" And Halcyon's "No."
Never to my
Never to my knowledge. Yeah, so he puts in a call to Preston, And Preston's all like, well, gee whiz, boss, whatever's going on, it's happening everywhere, but I don't know why it's happening, but they're changing the heading of the ship, and I can't stop them. And they're on direct collision course now to Cyberbiotics Tower, wherever that is.
It's in the city.
It's in the city, probably. And he says the only explanation for how this is happening is that Goliath must have brought a virus aboard, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
We know that Goliath's been in pinky bondage the entire time he's been there. And even Halcyon is like, I don't see how that could have happened. But Person's like, it had to have happened, boss! And now I'm gonna blow up the ship in 5 minutes, and you have to get to an escape pod, and if you don't, you're gonna blow up anyway, because I cannot let the airship crash into the tower, people will die, so we have to go right now.
Oh my gosh.
Open back up on a far off shot of the ship to re-establish the location for any new viewers. And cut into how can this be happening from not Vogel, Halcyon Renard. Do y'all know what the word Renard means?
Fox.
Okay, just want to make sure.
It's French.
Yep.
So she changed her name from Fox to Fox.
Yes.
It is her name, legally.
Legally.
That reminds me of someone.
Okay. Anyways, there's more random insane electrical bursts visible in the air, because this is how you corrupt robots.
This is how viruses spread.
It's through giant electrical arcs that are long enough to probably kill anyone nearby, even though it won't, because, like...
This is how all robots function.
Whatever. But, like, literally, the robots are... One of them is standing on one side of the room. One of them standing on the complete opposite end of the room, and electricity arcs between them over the entire length of the room. And if you know anything about electricity, you know that every time you double the length, you quadruple the amount of power it takes to arc.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if that's true in cartoon shows.
It's really not. But, like, it's just... Every time when I see arcs like that, I'm like... The sheer amount of power it would take to arc over that distance is insane. Like, that's enough power to freaking power the airship, and you're just arcing it.
This is the real reason it starts to crash.
Anyways, I mean, I exaggerate, but still only a little. Anyways, Goliath's like, what Vogel said about me, you know it's not true. All I know is I'm about to be wiped out. It doesn't have to be that way. And then Goliath, like, stands up, looks like he's about to flex. I can break these chains. He then flexes, breaks all of the chains off of his arms just by flexing.
Just by flexing.
Now, keep in mind, these chains look like they're like half-inch thick steel.
They're heavy duty, so the only reason he would have left them on in that case is because he enjoyed being in bondage.
Pretty much.
He's like, okay, tie me up, put me in the corner. I've been bad.
So apparently he could have just done this at any time. And he knew it, because he didn't even have to try. He's like, oh yeah, I can break out of these. He's been in enough bondage, he's like, oh yeah, this wasn't enough to hold me, I knew that. But only you can get me past the bars. So, we have yet another reused shot of Halcyon's face, because I feel like every time we cut to Halcyon, we're looking at him from the same angle, as he moves through the same three facial expressions. They keep doing this throughout the entire freaking episode. No one brought it up before, but yes.
This episode isn't the best animated, and that's okay.
Yeah. Anyways, Goliath, like, Halcyon just looks shocked. It's like, Goliath's like, I helped destroy Fortress 1. Let me save Fortress 2. Meanwhile, we cut away to Vogel just running after the escape pod and waiting for him. And then he's like, as he's looking and waiting to see what happens, he's like, heaven help us both. Which I actually really enjoyed that line delivery.
Like, this was the part where I was like, I sort of realized somewhere in here, I was like, oh, Preston's actually in love with Halcyon.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Because he does respect Halcyon, but he also really likes having money. Yeah. So this is his conflict, is like, he has to betray the person who he loves.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Anyways, meanwhile, Halcyon presses yet another button on his insane chair, and the doors open. Because he just has a button on his chair for that. You know, he's got a macro set up specifically for opening the prison cell.
I didn't even catch that. He just has
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time in this room.
Apparently. So, it's a nice big button too. It's one of the 4 buttons on his chair. There's only 4.
There's only 4.
And he uses 3 of them
There's
through
the
the episode.
gun button, the cage button.
Button.
I don't know what the others are.
And then another one opens the door, and we don't know what the
Oh
4th button
God.
does. But those are the 4 buttons on his chair.
Perfect.
No, wait, sorry. The 4th one is the thing that pulls down the plastic shield. We haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh yeah, okay. The battle shield.
Anyways, so meanwhile, while the door's opening, we get more of Goliath's side butt because he's kneeling down and breaking his leg restraints, and we only see his lower body focusing on him squatting and breaking chains.
Legs and ass, just legs and ass.
And then Goliath walks out the door and immediately gets shot. Again.
And Halcyon's like, I can't override the robots though.
So yes, Goliath runs back out, and Halcyon's like, I can't override them, which isn't true, but we'll get to that. And Goliath's like, I can. And then he grabs one of them and uses it as a robot shield, and it gets shot, and it gets instantly vaporized somehow, despite the fact that these shots have definitely not vaporized Goliath when he gets shot by them.
He's made of stronger stuff than robots.
But, like, literally gets vaporized to the point where there's nothing remaining, just a cloud of smoke from a single head.
Nothing can break bedrock.
Anyways, so now we've had enough of the normal-looking robots, so we're going to pan over to a new type of robot entering, which are these green and red 2-headed robots that look like Scovillains, if anyone knows what that is.
Skull villains?
Scovillain. It's a Pokemon.
Oh.
But they just so happen to resemble the weird 2-headed robots that are going to be showing up from now on. Because there's like 4 separate varieties of robots on this thing, and we're not really sure what any of them are for.
I guess these are like the security bots, maybe.
Yep, but it has 2 heads for some reason. Anyways, so it starts shooting at Goliath. Goliath runs in a straight line towards him, and the robot misses 2 shots in a row at point-blank range before Goliath manages to tackle it. And then Goliath bends the gun to be pointed back at the robot, and the robot shoots itself.
That was hot, because Goliath showed his muscles while doing that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So more Scovillains enter, and Halcyon uses a laser gun built into his chair to vaporize them instantly the moment they turn their guns on him. Because he could have done that at any point, but no, he wanted to make Goliath fight for him. Rather than just take out the freaking things that were shooting him. Anyways, Goliath suddenly turns into a macro, and has to get down on all 4s and crawl through the door behind Halcyon as he leaves, because like Halcyon's in this giant robot chair, and these very large industrial doors in the airship. So he floats through with his robot chair, and then Goliath barely fits through the door.
Like, he's huge. He's a giant.
Suddenly
For
huge.
no reason.
So we see him running behind Halcyon, still macro because his arm is the same size as Halcyon's entire body. But it zooms out very quickly, so you might not notice this time, because we were watching a computer screen that Vogel was watching. Foolish old man. If he thinks he can save this ship, couldn't be more wrong.
Him saying the word foolish means that he's definitely evil.
Yeah.
Like some little bit of the Mona's writers got into Preston in that moment.
Anyways, he uses voice override V7R9, which I just like to call out when they have these insane override commands people are supposed to memorize.
At least there aren't any decimal points in this
No,
one.
that was what I was thinking of. No. Isolate Mr. Renard and gently force him to the escape bay.
But if you see Goliath, fucking kill him.
Yeah. If the creature gets in your way, destroy it. Not kill. Not because of censorship, because he doesn't even consider him a person.
Ooh. Nice.
During all this... Okay. So we have a very long pan during this of Renard and Goliath running through the corridors while robots just keep walking out from the doors and staring at them in confusion, but not actually doing anything. And then Goliath is suddenly normal sized again during this, and he's running upright instead of on all fours like he was before.
Why are the robots confused? They just got direct orders of what to do. If
Well,
they saw
no,
the
this
two
is
of them.
this is while the orders are being given.
Oh, okay.
They're all just staring at them, like
Right.
waiting for their orders
They're
to
like,
finish.
Processing.
So when the orders finish, one of them steps in front of Goliath to try and stop him. So he grabs it by like the neck and throws it upwards, and it gets crumpled as if it had been hit by a car going 60 miles an hour into a steel wall.
I love Goliath.
Like it breaks into pieces, and every piece is like super crumpled, and I'm just like, ow.
Strong boy.
Anyways, so Goliath's fighting for a bit, and Halcyon's doing nothing. And then eventually Halcyon's like, this is intolerable. We can't fight every Cybot on the ship one at a time. We have to shut them all down simultaneously. We'll find a power source here. So here is where I took a note that he said, displays on a monitor a room that looks like Nova from Kirby Superstar. Take note of this.
I'll take your word of it.
Take note of this, because in 2 seconds I'm going to be yelling for other reasons.
Okay.
If we can destroy it, they'll all go offline at once. But who will be left to alter the ship's course? Leave that to me. Yeah, you know. So they split up. Goliath's off to take care of the reactor. Halcyon's off to go change the course of the ship.
Okay, so as Goliath runs off, this is another
Yes.
like perfect ass shot of this episode.
Yes.
Like we see it, the complete cheeks, everything, tail.
Yeah. So we get a very long shot. It's a long shot, too, of him running on all fours directly away from the camera. So he's like perfectly facing his ass. And he's just mooning us as the loincloth flaps.
And there aren't like the brown like
No.
loincloth underwear there this time. It's
Yeah.
all purple.
No,
all
it's,
purple.
it's all purple molding.
So we split which scenes, at which point I screamed because I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because they start playing Nova's leitmotif from Kirby Superstar.
What?
No joke. This scene opens with the exact same notes as Nova's leitmotif. And I'm like, I literally just wrote down about this room looking like Nova's leitmotif. And now they will continue throughout this entire scene that takes place in this room to keep using Nova's leitmotif. And I'm like, what is going on here?
I can't believe the Kirby developers are fans of gargoyles. In particular, this one episode.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is happening? Because, like, I don't know which came first, frankly. Either way, I'm pretty sure it's coincidental.
He's looking it up right now.
I did look it up. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I did look it up. This episode came first. Thoughts? Regardless, like, it was just really weird and freaky because they start playing a very sci-fi, like, sound that's Nova's leitmotif, and I'm just like, this doesn't fit the scene at all. Why are you playing it right after I made a joke about Nova? Anyway.
They heard you somewhere. Back in time, they heard you.
Anyways, Goliath gets shot up a bunch, rips off a rail, guardrail, because there's actually guardrails here. And then we get destroyed from the robot's POV as he swings a giant steel bar at us, basically. Which is a really cool shot. It wasn't animated that well, but like the storyboard probably looked really cool in that one.
I agree.
Meanwhile, now that Halcyon Renard is alone, he just presses another button, and a glass dome lowers over his chair, and then he starts blasting wildly and destroying all the robots, which he has not been doing the entire time Goliath was
I'm
with
just
them.
a helpless old man. You need to save me, Goliath. I can't do anything.
Yeah, he knows how to get men to do things for him.
Yeah, this is the real way he built his fortune.
And meanwhile, Vogel's just yelling at him over the comms. Mr. Renard, I'd rather not have your death on my conscience, but I cannot allow this ship to collide with a tower full of people. Yeah, you'll never reach the bridge, blah, blah, turn left, you can still come.
Yeah, come to your state. Like, be with me. Like, we can live together.
Now, what's really interesting is, this is the first time in the episode where Vogel has actual emotion in his voice.
Yeah.
And it's specifically during the point where he says, you'll find my escape pod still waiting. He breaks and a little bit of emotion seeps into his voice.
It's really good. Does he have the same voice actor as Owen's
No.
voice? It's a different voice?
So, not only did he was told... So his voice actor was told to try and mimic Owen, but then Owen's voice actor couldn't make it to the studio that day to, like, demo it for him. But then, apparently, he just nailed it out of the park, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Because Owen is Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn's voice
Yes.
actor?
Yes.
That's good.
Apparently, Halcyon Renard's voice actor came in and was like, looked at the script and was like, yep, I know exactly what this character is going to sound like, and I'm going to do it perfectly. And then he was like way harsher and requested more takes, and like, meanwhile Greg was just like, okay, I guess he's directing the scene. I'm not going to get to do anything.
You're fine, we got it. He's like, no, I can do better.
Yes. Like, apparently he was just directing his own takes to get like the perfect takes.
Perfect.
So yeah. Where were we? Meanwhile, Renard just goes and guilt trips Vogel with a Mr. Vogel. I wouldn't want any innocence hurt. I can't turn this boat around in time, you have my permission to destroy it. But you and I built the ship together. If it's going down, I'm going down with it. And I can never quite tell in this episode how much Renard is playing Vogel and how much he's actually like just meaning it. It's hard to tell.
It is hard to... I'm not sure either. Because we learned later that Preston actually has given him additional time.
Yes.
Like, perhaps because he knew Halcyon would try this and that he didn't want Halcyon to die.
Yes. Well, we know Vogel definitely was not willing to kill Renard. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. But anyways, we're back to the core, and it's suddenly pulsing a weird blue for some reason, as robots just come out of the woodworks to continuously attack Goliath. I don't know where all these robots are coming from, but every half a second, a new robot is attacking him, and he's throwing it away, and another robot comes out.
It's almost like you shouldn't make an airship that's only piloted by robots.
But eventually, when he throws one of them away, it slams into the core, and the bot explodes. The core doesn't exactly look damaged, but it does more weird electrical arcing and then shuts down.
He did it. Mission accomplished.
That was exactly what Renard said. Outstanding. He did it. And then, as he's going to the computer, he's like, Vogel, bless you. You've given me extra time, like you mentioned. And then Vogel...
well, Halcyon, he gets to the controls, but he realizes that it's like a two-man operation to change the heading.
He just gives a big like the one time he loses his composure.
Like, uh-oh.
No, and like puts his hand to his face to cover it.
Almost like he has to trust other people now, doesn't it?
And then like he pulls his hand down, and suddenly Vogel's just standing there.
Okay.
We didn't hear him. He's just standing there.
He's not just standing there, he's like sassily leaning against the controls, being like, hey old man, here's you needed some help.
Oh my gosh.
Yes!
Slut.
So near and yet so far, Mr. Renard? Like, it's the A. The A is the sassiest part of that.
Yeah.
Like, the gayness is really coming to the forefront now.
Yes. In all your excitement, it must have slipped your mind that 2 men are required for emergency course override. And he's just like, Mr. Vogel, I knew you wouldn't let me down. And, like, tries to save face, like, saying he knew Vogel would come, but he clearly didn't.
Fucking didn't.
Yes, well, you have that effect on people. And now we get the most Vogel line ever. Now we have 8.5 seconds to execute a 60-degree turn. Let's proceed.
Oh my.
Okay, I hate lines like that. It's like, by the time you said the 0.5, it's like, it's moved to decimal point now. It's like, don't give the decimal. Just say 8 seconds. Or even better, just be like, we have to do this right now, let's go. Like, you have to talk fast. It's a life or death situation.
Very well.
He's technical.
So anyways, we watch it skim the tower. It turns onto its side and barely manages to avoid slamming into it.
It's like the Millennium Falcon, suddenly.
Yep. And then we cut back inside again. And Goliath has mysteriously appeared in the 5 seconds we were there and is pinning freaking Vogel against his console.
It kind of looks like Vogel's turning around for a spanking.
Vogel is like turned on by this too, because he's just sort of like, hello. Muscles. He's flashbacking all the times he was bullied in middle school. He's like, oh, don't give me a wedgie, big man.
Oh my gosh.
That's the impression I got at least.
No, that's fair.
No, Renard just tries to reassure Goliath.
assessment.
It's alright, Goliath, we did it. Collision averted.
Okay, when they turned the ship all the way sideways, by the way, how did not everyone slide like to the bottom?
Yes!
I don't know
Listen,
how that happened.
They got Gravlock.
Yeah, maybe Halcyon did on his wheelchair. He has magnets.
Yeah, they all put they wear magnets.
That's the
shoes.
fourth button.
They put magnets in Goliath's. Wait, no, but then it would come off. Goliath's just strong like that.
Goliath has used his wings and flew, that's all.
So Preston's the only one who Goliath
Well,
caught
that-
him.
I guess that's why he was pinned up against
Falls
the
Yeah,
right into
uh-huh.
Goliath's
He fell onto the
face.
console when it went, and then Goliath came in and just pinned him down.
Proximity alert.
Goliath just glares at him, and Vocal's like, and I believe I owe you an apology for accusing you of sabotaging the Cybots. And Goliath just growls in his face in response.
Now you're gonna get the spankings.
Yeah.
Actually, sir, I think I have something of a confession to make. And then Goliath growls even heavier. And a full confession. I don't know. I love how Goliath's just like, well, I didn't do it, and I know Halcyon clearly didn't do it, so it must be Vocal, and
Yeah.
just goes after him.
As we know, there's only 2 people on this ship.
Vocal just folds his hands and looks displeased at this. And we cut scenes again. And we have a scene with a whole lot of dialogue that I'm not going to read all of. But suffice to say, Halcyon has decided that Vogel's betrayal has proven him right and that he should only work with machines and humans are completely worthless.
Because Preston was the last person who he had any trust in, and even that's been taken away from him now.
Yeah. And Goliath is like, well, if you look at it, that more proved that putting all of your trust into machines was a horrible idea. Because they all betrayed you without any thought, and there was no chance of them changing their mind like Vogel did.
Yes. Automatons know nothing of betrayal or honor. They only know what they're programmed to know. Only living beings possess the ability to change and make new choices.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Vogel chose honor.
Yeah, even though it wasn't really the robot's fault and it was Vogel's fault.
Well, but the point is that the robots couldn't make a choice.
I mean, if you look at it that way, sure, but who flipped the switch?
No one is saying the robots are at fault. The point is that the robots literally are incapable of making choices. So if someone tells them to do something, they're going to do it, even if it's a horrible idea. That's what he's saying.
You can't remove the human element because someone don't always going to be in charge of the robots. So there's going to be a human involved either way.
All the robots did was they extended the amount of damage and range that Vogel could do on his own because he had control of them. And then, Goliath declares that they're friends now.
Yeah.
So
As the only
you
2 moral
changed
people
me
in the
up.
entire show.
You chained me up and zapped me, silly.
Yeah, this is how you make
You
friends
got a
with
friend
Goliath.
in me, bro.
Yeah, just do that to me again sometime.
You put a bunch
You'll
of
be
little
good.
friends in me, if you know what I'm
Oh my
saying.
god, I'm gonna have puppies later.
So, which is really funny because this is the first time that Goliath has made a human friend in the present.
Besides
Pure-
Elisa.
I was going to say since Elisa.
Yeah.
So, that's nice that because he declared he was going to do that at the end of season 1, and this is the first time he's actually managed it.
He doesn't meet people very often. He's a
No.
homebody. Now he's going out. He's going
Anyways.
to the bars. He's meeting people. He's hooking up. He's
So-
going to S&M clubs.
So once again, we get another insane animation thing because I read the original script treatment and then I watched this. So in the script treatment, Goliath flies off the ship, goes completely off screen, but a hang glider's hiding in the behind the ship and then lands as soon as he's out of sight. In the actual show, Goliath flies off the ship and the hang glider passes right by him and lands on the ship.
And he just somehow doesn't see
He just somehow doesn't see it.
He's like, okay, well, there's a hang glider out here in the middle of the bay or wherever I am.
Yes! So, we see a mysterious figure on the hang glider. Who is she? She melts a hole into the ship with acid. And
Yeah,
She has like an acid grenade. Also, she's in like a ninja suit.
Yes!
She's so extra. It's one of the evil ninja suits from the Pack show.
Evil. Maybe it is one of the same outfits. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Because Fox would have one of those.
Yeah. And of course we can't tell it's Fox because it's not like we can see the blue eye peeking through the
big eye tattoo. It's
yeah.
right there.
Yeah, so not to mention causing more damage to the ship, but that's like whatever.
So she then sneaks up to Renard. Renard doesn't even look around. We don't know. He must have heard her or something. He's just like, "Hello, Janine."
She says, "Hello, Daddy."
Yeah. Which we had a
Grown
conversation
woman
about
calling
this.
their father's daddy. Yeah, we were talking about that in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because who was it?
Felicia.
Felicia Hardy calls her father daddy, and I'm just like, you're a grown woman, Felicia.
Like, at least Fox, I feel like, is doing it purposefully.
Fox is doing it purposefully, and because she is like very sexual, and
Yes.
everything she does is going to be sexual,
that
so she's
poor
sort of
old
playing
man.
into that,
Yes.
and being like, yeah, what about it, Dad? I'm a sexual woman. Am I turning you on? Does that bother your morals? And he's like, yes, actually, it does. I prefer it if you stop.
That poor old man.
Pretty much. So, once he's called her Janine, she takes off the mask and reveals that Janine is Fox.
I don't believe it.
yeah.
And that Fox is really Janine Renard.
Oh yeah.
Which, yep.
It's wild.
Anyways, hello, Daddy. I almost got you this time, didn't I? He's just like, yes,
How many times has it been now?
but why? I built this company for you. I'd have given it to you already if you hadn't married that villain
This is your shit.
I'd probably still give it to you if you were just to stand up and ask me for it, honestly. Oh, Daddy, you and your integrity. Asking for it wouldn't be any fun at all.
And fun is still more important to you than honor. I can't understand that.
Well, maybe you'll have better luck. And then she grabs his hand and just places it on her belly, relating to the next generation. What are you saying? That's right, Daddy. You're going to be a grandfather. And then she just grabs a rope, jumps back up through the hole she burnt in the ship, puts on her mask, and flies away.
And that's how it ends.
As the sun has one of its fastest rises ever in the entire show. As we go from nighttime to the sun appearing and turning red to the sun being up in the sky and it being like a normal day, all within the span of under 3 seconds.
It's a time-lapse video.
I think that also kind of... So we're at the end now, right?
That's the end,
Yeah, that is
baby.
the end. Okay, so
That's it.
I think it also brings a lot of insight into why Fox does the thing she does. I mean, imagine growing up with a man like Renard, like
Yeah,
as
probably
your
wouldn't let her
father
do
figure.
anything.
Probably wouldn't let her do
No.
fucking
You know?
anything, and now she's
Correct.
like out here fucking people, taking
Fucking
names,
people she shouldn't be,
and
recruiting a bunch of bisexual mercenaries,
and one gay guy.
and one gay guy. She's doing it all now, and she
Yeah.
has that power.
Yeah, she's funny.
What did we think of this episode? Was it a favorite? Was it a skip? Was it a miss? Was it a hit?
I mean, I liked it.
It's always an episode I remember at least, which is better than some of the episodes.
Okay, what do you remember about it? Do you remember Goliath being in bondage? Or do you remember Halcyon being like, what an interesting character you are?
Both?
I see.
Actually, no. The first thing I always remember is the judo scene.
What?
And then
Okay.
the second thing I remember is the scene of her putting her hand on her belly and being like, maybe you'll have better luck with the next generation.
Yeah, I always remember
Those-
her being in a ninja suit and
Yeah.
then hang gliding.
Like, those are my first two thoughts whenever it comes to this episode. 'Cause, like, Fox gets... It's just very nice to have Fox get an entire evil plot to herself that Xander has nothing to do with. He doesn't even know what's going on, but she's just doing another evil plot on the side while he's doing his evil plots, and that's how they relate.
Yeah.
And it's just nice that she gets to be her own person.
This is a good Fox episode, despite her like not being in very much of it, but like every scene she's in.
She
Delivers.
delivers. She's
always
always
on
a
it.
joy.
From what that reminds me, one thing from the very end, the pregnancy. Greg did imply that was difficult to get on TV and that it hadn't been done in an animated show before.
Are you kidding me?
Like you couldn't
Jesus
you
Christ.
couldn't talk about pregnancies. So
Why not?
Where do babies come from? We don't want the viewers to know.
Like kids know that ladies get pregnant and have babies. Like
yeah.
I can't.
Stupid.
So,
I can't these people sometimes.
apparently that was yet another thing that this show broke the ground on and
I'm glad
got
they
rid
did.
of.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Some of the stories Greg tells, I'm like, it's a miracle this show got made, you know? It's...
Oh, I know. Like, gosh.
Okay, well, what would your rating be out of 5 loincloths?
3.5 to 4-ish?
Really?
I
That's rather
was going to
Is it?
rate it. I've been back and forth between a 3 and a 3.5 since this, but I hadn't decided yet.
Okay. It's a 2 for me.
Yeah.
It's a 2. I don't really care for it. But if I had to judge only the Goliath and bondage scenes, it would be a 5. Because he looks really good.
I mean, you've got all the Goliath
Looks
and bondage
real good.
scenes. You've got Fox killing it every time she's on. You've got some great voice delivery.
There's some
You've got Goliath flashing ass every 5 seconds.
There's some good shit in this episode. I may not be the episode for most viewers, but you get some good shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like, the most I remember from it personally is just an old man just, like, berating Goliath and putting him in bondage the whole time. And I'm like, this is weird.
This is giving me
I like
strange
it, but it's
feelings.
weird in a good way.
Like, I do remember as a kid watching this episode, I was, like, turned on by the bondage. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't understand this yet, but there's something
So,
here.
as I mentioned before, he wrote the original story for this episode was called After the Fox. It was written by Carrie Bates. Now, we don't have that story treatment, but what we do have is that Greg posted his response to the original story treatment on Ask Greg.
Okay.
So, we have a bunch of responses to an outline that we will never get to see.
Why is the outline not there? And his responses are?
Because that's what Greg posted.
Okay.
He found it when he was looking through some old stuff, and he's like, I'm going to post this because I think people will find it interesting.
Sure, like it probably is.
Guessing he just didn't know where the original outline for Outfoxed was. He probably didn't even have it in his personal
Or
collection.
maybe he's not allowed to share it, maybe.
Possibly.
You know, because it doesn't, like, he didn't write it.
True. Anyways, well, one of the advantages of having used one of my story editors is I can be brutally honest. We got some problems here.
Oh.
The main one being that the story doesn't get going in earnest until the last scene of Act 2. We're horribly padded here. Normally I would give this back to you for a second draft outline, but my fault. I didn't read it in time, so I'll beat it out here.
Oh, jeez.
Damn.
First off, let's make Renard the last name. I know said I was okay to make Renard the first name, but the more I thought about it, the more I didn't want Fox's only connection to the Renard/Fox name to be that it was her father's first name.
Yeah, that would be weird.
I don't think she could admit to herself that she was borrowing anything from him. So let's make her given name Janine Renard. He still calls her Janine. She rejects that and has her name legally changed to a nom de guerre, Fox. Like Cher, Madonna, it's just the one word. Remember, she was a performer. The Fox is the part of herself that she believes in. The irony, of course, is that the name did come from her father.
I like that.
I don't think that Fox consciously hates her father. I don't think she consciously admits to having feelings that could cloud her judgment. There's no vengeance kick here, no line of dialogue where she says she wants to see him suffer, that she only saved his life so she can continue to torture him. That may all be subconsciously true, but if so, she doesn't realize it. Remember, she's Xanatos' perfect mate. Neither her nor her husband get that emotional. They enjoy the game for its own sake. Playing it against her father may give it a special tang, but from her point of view, there's only one reason to do this. Cyberbiotics. She wants it, so she decides to take it. If it wasn't worth having, she wouldn't have bothered.
She's a stone cold bitch.
So on cyberbiotics, the investor scenario doesn't work. Just because the investors aren't killed doesn't mean these 5 terrorized guys are now going to invest. The damage is done. The stock price will still fall and Cyberbiotics will still belong to Fox by close of business tomorrow.
Okay, so there's a whole like investor plot line,
Yes.
I guess. Okay,
Yes.
it sounds riveting.
Yes.
Too bad they cut that.
The solution, I believe, is to change the location. Renard has just rebuilt the Cyberbiotics Air Fortress. He's determined to prove it safe and effective. It's a corporate icon like the Goodyear blimp. And the public does think it's really cool, but it's still not the smartest investment. It's hubris. Worse, it's Euro Disney. Renard invests way too much to rebuild it. It's destroyed so soon after reconstruction. Cyberbiotics will be bankrupt and easy prey for Fox. This will tie in nicely with Goliath's growing sense that he owes Renard a debt. Goliath helped destroy the first air fortress. Now he must save the second one. And if you save the ship, you save the company from Fox. So originally this took place in that building that they had to prevent, not in the airship. The second airship did not exist.
Interesting.
Next, we're going to talk about racial issues.
Oh my god.
What?
Or special issues, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, for once, this should not be an issue. Renard accuses Goliath of not having as much integrity as humans do. But Renard doesn't believe that humans have much integrity. That's why he's automated his operations. So, we're arguing the wrong premise.
Yes.
Integrity is not the province of either race. Deep down, Goliath may have a vague prejudice that Gargoyles are generally more honest than humans. But in his head, he knows that his race does not have a monopoly on integrity.
Yeah, like, if anything, I felt like Halcyon came around on Goliath a little quicker because he wasn't human.
Thanks to the events of our pilot, Renard may have a general mistrust of gargoyles, but that's not the point you should be making. Renard firmly believes that integrity is absolute. You have it or you don't. Cut and dry, black and white. He's got it, most humans don't, including Xanatos and his daughter. Machines can be programmed with absolutes. People can't. So he's populating the world with machines. His assumption is that Goliath is no better than Xanatos and that all of his creatures' protestations about being duped are nothing more than whining excuses. Will Goliath take responsibility for his actions or won't he? Let's not distract from this important theme with issues of race. Though I love the line, "You're gargoyle enough to admit it," which did make it into the final episode.
Yeah.
Vogel. Who is this guy exactly? Security man? Computer programmer? Born again? Was he
Born
hired?
again?
I don't know! I want to know what the original script he was like. Was he hired on a project basis to complete the automation? Is he helping Fox who knew Renard was going to fire him? Is Vogel automated all of Renard's operations? Just the security. Just the security, then what are they securing? Why does he repent? Basically, the character's coming across as very vague and contradictory. We have to clean this up.
So they cleaned it up by
Copy and pasting Owen.
He got a long-term plan out of this one.
What's really funny is in a different thing, he mentions that from the original draft, Vogel was supposed to be the person that Owen was based on.
Interesting.
So even then, he looked like that. Let's also make sure we fit Vogel into our theme. He's corrupted by Fox. Ultimately, Renard will use Vogel as another example of why humans can't be trusted. Goliath will point out that Cybots are just as corruptible. Yes, that's the end. Which apparently that whole segment was added by Greg.
So Greg fixed this whole episode is what I'm getting at.
Well, he probably did that for a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I know. It's just like...
So then he brings up the title. After the Fox. I don't get it. Am I missing something? That's all he has to say on it. Like,
He
Like,
doesn't
is this
it,
title?
like,
Yeah.
is it a pun? Is it,
We
like,
are all
what is it?
confused and he doesn't even know.
yeah. Then he gives the beat outline, which is very similar to what we just gave, so I'm not going to repeat it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But, like, yeah, based on that script, he just rewrote what basically became the final episode.
Cool. I appreciate that Greg has put so much information
Yeah.
up on, like, behind-the-scenes info and, like, information on like, each episode.
He had to jump through so many hoops, it looks like. So do we want to do our horniest moment?
Yes. We should.
God, that's going to be tough this time.
That's easy for me. Goliath getting zaptified and sexually falling down on his
Fainting to
face.
his knees.
Yes.
That's a good moment.
That puts a smile on my face.
Yeah.
I think the horniest moment for me is the moment where Goliath reveals he could have broken the restraints at any time and then just flexes to break them.
That was really hot, the way he
Yeah.
did that. And, I mean, any moment that Goliath is in bondage, they're all the same moment to me. It's a beautiful,
very
long
delicious.
moment of just him and chains. Or when he got shot on the ass too, outside.
That's
was
a
good
good
too.
runner-up.
That was a good
Damn.
runner-up. Cotton Ball tortured for a while until he finally succumbed.
Yeah.
There's
I
the
mean-
moment where he's running directly away from the camera on all
his
fours,
ass,
and
yeah.
we literally see his ass.
That's,
Goliath
we did
Not
the
us
same-
exaggerating, we
that
literally
same
see his
thing
ass.
happened in the first episode. I think this is our first time seeing that since.
And then also there was the moment where he was tumbling through the air,
And we saw his
we
whatnots.
literally see
Uh-huh.
his ass and his taint for a moment,
We
and then
see-
they
we
just put a
see-
black shadow to cover his dick.
We see his gargoyle
is-
bubs.
It's like the thing about that black shadow is it looks like it was pasted over something else. It doesn't even look natural. It's not like
Do you think they drew something there?
I don't know. I'm just saying that there's just this like it's a quadrilateral. It's not quite a rectangle, but it's like just a perfect quadrilateral. It's not like
Okay.
they drew a shadow on or anything. It's
So
just something
We
covered.
have studied
What we
this
need to
image.
do is we need to take every frame we captured and send them to Spiffy.
Be like, can you fix all of these?
Like here's all of these. Do what you want with
do
them.
do what you will.
Yeah, pretty much. Or just post them in the server. There are other people that make edits, but Spiffies are really good. Okay, so I think
Who is the gayest character?
Renard.
Halcyon is your answer?
He put Goliath in bondage the whole episode and had this weird one-off with Vogel. Like, I mean, I think he's my prime candidate.
I put Preston for mine, just as I first realized, and on this watch through, that he's in love with Halcyon, and that was like a
Yeah.
realization for me. I never realized it before.
No, that was cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, Halcyon definitely did put Goliath in bondage. And,
I mean,
spanked him a lot.
but I gotta give it to Goliath for deciding to sit around in bondage for Halcyon.
You know, they were both getting something out of that arrangement.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's
Like, there's only 3 characters in this episode for 90% of the runtime, and they're all very
gay?
gay.
The only thing they didn't do together that wasn't gay was do the gargoyle friendship initiation of touching penises together.
Yeah.
which I'm just saying.
No, I was thinking of my Thanksgiving story for fraternity, where the trio initiate Gabriel into their own little brotherhood. I've read so many spanking stories, guys. I'm becoming
Yeah, I don't know how you keep
exhausted.
doing that.
But I know we have some emails. Who wants to read some emails?
I want to see some emails.
Let's go to the emails.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
From
From
July
July
27th.
27. Would you like to read it?
Yes, I'll read
That
it.
was a longer one.
It is. I can do it. My vocal cords are warmed up.
Okay.
Hello, Loincloth Hour. I really enjoyed your last episode about that Spider-Man comic. It's a shame that the writers decided to play all that off as a joke instead of embracing the queerness, but c'est la vie with early 2000s pop culture. You all pointed out that the comic has yet another example of male characters in that fighting pose where they hold each other's hands and try to push each other. It pops up numerous times in Gargoyles and other shows and comics. I started thinking more about this aggressive hand-holding TM, and I think there is something uniquely homoerotic and possibly even homo-romantic about this pose. Now, I know he brought up that this happens in Gargoyles a lot, but he didn't bring up that it happens with Goliath and Wolf a lot.
Okay, well, luckily you're here to bring that up.
Yes, I
To
am.
bring us all up to speed.
Obviously, trying to wrestle your rival into submission by grappling him is super erotic. You have to explore each other's writhing bodies under the pretense of finding a good hold while your muscular limbs intertwine. Plus, your butt, groin, and face will all come into dangerously close proximity of his. That's great and all, but when you're pinning your sworn foe to the ground by straddling his waist, he might feel your accidental boner rubbing up against his glutes and mistake it for your utility belt. Likewise, you won't be able to see if he's getting a boner too. How are you supposed to confront your forbidden feelings for each other if you don't know your attraction is mutual?
Yeah, these are all really good
This is
points.
good shit.
Uh-huh.
This is good shit, Spiffy. Aggressive hand-holding TM allows you to start slow with hand-holding before jumping straight to sexy grappling. More importantly, it lets you keep all of your bulging muscles on display so you can show off your impressive physique to your most hated admirer. The same goes for your groin, ensuring that you and your arch nemesis will see each other's unmistakable spandex bulge or inadvertent loincloth slip. You'll both look up from each other's boners and meet each other's gaze as you'll feel his grip on your hands tighten as he demands to know why you're getting hard. And you can tell him, what? You're the one who's getting hard. He'll grimace and try to take advantage of your distraction by pressing his arms forward, but you won't yield, and all he'll do is bring your faces closer together. He'll recoil a few inches and be all, "Did you just try to kiss me, hero?" And you'll be like, "Ew, no, you're monstrous and evil, and besides, you're totally the one that just tried to kiss me." Then he'll blurt out, "No, I didn't. I was just trying to overpower you. Unless..." And then you'll be like, "Unless what?" Eye emoji. But he won't respond because he'll be caught off guard by your penetrating stare. And while he's stammering to regain his composure, the really evil member of his team will shout from a distance, "What are you waiting for? Destroy him!" And then your rival will get really angry and pull away from the aggressive hand-holding and make some vague threat about finishing this little fight another time. What he really means is that he wants to meet you again under different circumstances after he's had some time to sort through the internalized homophobia he has developed from living in a society of villains with unhealthy conceptions about what male evil should look like. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is that aggressive hand-holding TM is the meet-cute of fighting moves. And also that I want to be kissed by a villainous monster man. Okay, bye.
Oh my god.
That was a really lovely email, Spiffy.
These are all the reasons that we love aggressive hand-holding and want it to be present in all media that we consume until the end of time.
Indeed. It looks like there's another old one.
I'm gonna start looking for aggressive hand-holding more
I
thoroughly
am going
in
to.
all my TV shows.
We're gonna have to That's definitely gonna be a thing we need to see more. Is just more aggressive hand holding. I mean, I've got several frames of Wolf doing that in Gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I see another one from Mike Inazaro on August 6th that looks unread.
Okay.
Should we look at that one too?
Yeah, we should look at all our emails. Oh. Okay, I'll read this one. It says, "Hi clan, I came out. Your advice was very helpful and beneficial. Thank you for the good advice and the fun content." And it's signed Mike.
Aww.
Now this was the person who wrote in before asking our advice on if he should come out or not.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that it worked out for you, Mike, and I'm so happy that we're sorry it took us this long to read your email. It's been a while between shows.
We've been on hiatus.
That's so fantastic, though, and I'm so happy for you, and I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for emailing us.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad that worked out, and absolutely. Just keep the emails coming. Keep us in the loop because we want to, just make sure that things keep going good for you.
Yes, totally.
Okay, Aqua says, "Hello, Loincloth, our crew. Love your podcast, and I would like to say a few things about this episode. And I love the many horny scenes that this episode has with Goliath, especially him in robotic bondage 2 times in one episode. And then he's got the little evil cat smirking emoji."
Yes, and he includes 2 screenshots of
Yeah.
Goliath. The time he was being held by the robots, like the package, I believe you described.
Yeah.
And then when he's in the cage with the shackles on
Ah,
him.
Aqua is so horny. Never stop.
Yes, never stop being horny. In fact, get more horny. The next is from Artizek, frequent emailer Artizek. It says, "Dear fellow gays, man, I forgot about how much I hate Renard. I understand he's technically a good guy, but he reminds me of every preachy boomer boss I ever had.
He just gotta remind me of that too. That was the exact vibe I got. I don't know.
Like, if he ordered a cheeseburger without pickles and opened the bun to find pickles, he'd summon the manager and waste everyone's time with a tirade about customer service and how nobody wants to work anymore. And kids these days with their TikToks and their fidget spinners and their bisexuals.
He's one to talk.
Is it just me, or does this episode have way more recycled footage than usual? I get it. Disney kept demanding more and more episodes without giving the animators enough time or money. Some reused animations acceptable, but a third of this episode is just Awakening Part 5.
We did explain that earlier.
Yes. One last thing. Renard means fox, right? So is his daughter named Fox?
Also explained earlier.
Great to hear your lovely voices again. Best, Artie.
Aww.
Thank you for another wonderful email, Artizek. I also sort of hate Renard, and I think he's a bad person, despite being full of personal integrity.
Yeah, like, way to toot your high horse, you weird bisexual old man. I don't hate him. Like I said, he is always putting Goliath in bondage.
Like, I enjoy that. It's just that's all I enjoy about him, pretty much. And I remember, like, the other episode he's in, which will be during the world tour. Like, I don't care for that episode.
Like every time Renard's in an episode, I'm just like, okay, so him and Goliath are gonna viciously start making out again, and then they'll just like put him in bondage and stuff. And Goliath likes it too. Like, he likes him. He called him friend after being zapped up the butt so many times by him.
Being robo-paddled over and over again against his wishes.
I think the next email is from Remy. And he says, "Hello again, Loincloth Hour crew. Nice to hear you guys back at it. Your last episode was a damn good one, as per usual. Quite enjoyable to hear you guys get so into it, and it was a fun change of pace to have so much of your focus be on the ladies." What ladies were we focusing on?
It was High Noon. So it was the one where Damona and Lisa were, like, jello wrestling together.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, of course, the whole thing about the lesbian sex had me snickering. Definitely fun to hear. It's funny because I was like, I don't even remember what I said.
We were funny. Just remember that we were
I believe it. It sounds like me. And now we move on to Outfoxed, and it's timeline time. The events of this episode start during November 17th, which is when Fox finds out she's pregnant, and end on November 18th. Interestingly, the events of this episode, upgrade starts happening before the events of this episode. Oh my! So Wolf's already in
We're
too.
We're almost to upgrade. It won't be next one. But I think like soon after. We're gonna get there soon.
I'm gonna have like a heart attack before I finish my notepads. It was a busy week in the Gargoyles universe. Remy puts it off as.
Yeah, a lot of stuff was happening that time.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I honestly don't have much to say about Outfoxed. I genuinely don't care for it. Hell, I've rewatched this series throughout the years so many times that I lost count. This is one of those episodes where I legit forget what happens in it. The story feels meh. Halcyon and Preston are not very interesting, and even Fox's reveal in the end doesn't add enough to make the episode worthwhile. Worst part, though, is that if I'm not mistaken, Revelations is next. Damn it."
I don't remember what episode is
I don't
next.
remember
I have to
that
look it
either.
up now.
Thanks for giving us more of your podcast, you guys. Have yourselves a great day and keep being awesome.
You too. I'm sorry. Let me look it up real quick.
Okay, yeah, like, I'm glad he's here to remind us.
No, the next episode is The Price, which is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's the one where, like, Hudson goes on The Price is Right with Xanatos, right?
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Oh my gosh. Now I'm gonna have to absolutely be, like, super thorough with my notes this time around.
It's a good Hudson episode coming up. I can't wait for it.
I am always down for a good Hudson episode after you didn't like the last one.
Yes. This will turn me around. Revelations is after that, which is going to be a Matt Bluestone episode. So, yeah, I share your pain on that one. Not looking forward to that myself.
Well, look, we got a long road ahead of us, and
Yes.
we'll keep knocking them out as they come at us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we got one more email from Zolith.
And it's about this Thanksgiving project.
I'll leave that one to you.
Okay, from Zoleth. I just wanted to say I very much enjoyed what I've read of this Thanksgiving stories so far. I do admit to having clear favorites, namely Ointment and Sensual. And I'm happy to say it's easy for me to fill in the blanks of what would follow in each of those more broadly erotic entries. I'm still looking forward to what you have in store for the last few. Thank you, Zolith. Yes, those... For listeners who may not have read those yet, Ointment is a story about Lexington and Amp, or Amp is pretty much like, oh, I got my butt paddled, like, can you rub some ointment on my butt, Lexington? And Lexington is like, oh my god, like, I've had the biggest boner I've ever had. And then Sensual is about Hudson and Jeffrey Robbins.
Yeah, OTP.
Which I enjoyed just being able to write about the two of them. And Jeffrey's all like, I loaned you a book that I wrote. It just happens to have a gay spanking scene. What did you think of it, Hudson? Hudson's like, oh, I've never read anything like that, lad. It's giving me all new feelings.
Oh,
We should reenact some of them sometime.
igniting that spark.
Thank you very much, Zolith. I appreciate getting feedback on these Thanksgiving stories, and I hope that once I have all 30 complete, that it'll be a testament to my madness.
Alright, so another lovely episode of Gargoyles. I can't wait for the price. In the meantime, I think we can close this one out since we've been recording for over 2 hours, but actually longer.
We had a few little breaks in between.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing, is all I'll say.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We appreciate
I'll get it done one way or another, just like the last table reading recording.
Yeah. So, in the meantime, while you wait for the next episode to come out, you can join our Discord, where Sid streams, like, so often during the week. He's always having fun little movie nights and, like, talking with people, so you can always catch him there. You can follow me. I'm Manicorn on Blue Sky. I'm Spankacorn on Twitter, but I would recommend Blue Sky over Twitter because I'm actually on Blue Sky these days. And I'm Croup on For Affinity. Sid, where are you on Twitter?
I'm Sid. You can find me on Twitter at SidScripts. Honestly, most of my content is, as Croup said in the Loincloth Hour server as of lately, where it's a chill little social venue with game nights and movie nights and all sorts of fun jamborees. And yeah, I mean, I have a Twitter, tragically, at SidScripts. You can find me on Blue Sky with that same handle. I'm still trying to wean off of the toxicity that is Twitter. My feed on Twitter, follow the Loincloth Hour on Blue Sky, Twitter, SoundCloud, and all those other YouTube. Yeah.
I need to start advertising the Loincloth Hour Blue Sky more, because we need more followers over there. Everyone get off of Twitter. Twitter sucks.
It does.
Come to Blue Sky. We have invites. If you need invites, literally just send me a DM.
I've already got like 10 invites piled up. Oh.
Well, you can find Hiran. He is once3333 on For Affinity, and he's Pondolin Hiran on Blue Sky. Pondolin _ Hiran, I believe. And he's on Twitter also, as I think Pondolin Hiran too. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have personal integrity, or you'll be tied up and put into kinky bondage.
Some old man's gonna put you in bondage if you don't do it. Have a good night, everybody.